A lot of people say that it is expensive to follow a plant-based diet, and to be perfectly honest, it's true. It's true if you try to make all that food that you see from influencers on Instagram and other platforms. I've mentioned before when I'm talking about this plant-based diet and budget that sometimes I'll just every once in a while, price something that somebody is showing on Instagram, and I'm actually being conservative when I'm pricing it, and I start adding up this, and I'm like, good Lord, you got at least a $25 meal there. Now, yeah, there's some meals that are special occasions. I could see doing that every once in a while, but from day to day, no, sir. And, it's really just a matter of a number of small things. It's not any one thing, of that, but I just don't see it. Now, I have learned a lot of tricks because I'm always trying to lower my food cost. I'm always trying to figure out where I can get a better price, or where, like I say, I can just spend less money in general on food. And in the last few years, I've gotten even better at it. The number one thing, and that's why I do the type of videos and share my food a lot on here, is just simple, whole, plant-based food. Not the packaged stuff, not the processed stuff, just the produce aisle and a few other things. And, the staples are not expensive. Like, take, for instance, that video from yesterday, the cabbage and lentil soup. Now that's like really bare bones right there. I mean, that's a very inexpensive soup to make. Lentils are super cheap. So is cabbage. And that's why I try to kind of incorporate that into a lot of the videos that I do, especially when I'm doing especially when I'm doing a recipe, or when I'm doing one of my what I ate today type videos. I go to different stores. Know the stores in your area. I'm in a fairly small area, and well, there's more grocery stores. But I've only found a reason to go to 3 stores. I go to 2 grocery stores and one what we kind of call a curb market. I don't know why it's called a curb market because it's inside, but I've got a Publix. I've got what's called a Rouse's. It's a brand out of Louisiana, and then, like I say, the curb market. There's things that I try to always buy at Publix. There's things that I try to always buy at Rouse's. For instance, I noticed, I don't know if they changed the price at Publix, if they lowered it, or if I just hadn't noticed before. But for instance, I buy bags of kale at Rouse's. It's about $1 more than it is at Publix. So I try to always make sure that when I need kale, that I'm getting my kale at Publix. And just lots of little items like that. There's things, like I say, I kind of split my mind and know what I'm going to buy here, know what I'm going to buy there, and then I know what I'm going to get at the curb market. Talking about kale, cabbage. Cabbage, I read something a while back, I can't remember the gist of it, like cabbage doesn't quite have the nutritional profile quite like kale, but, it's good. It's good, and it's cheap. I can generally get a fairly good size head of cabbage for maybe, I don't know, $1.50, $2 or whatever, and I'll eat off of that for a while. So, think of things like that, things that you can sub out. But then again, I just like cabbage. I still buy kale quite regularly. Plan your meals. If you plan your meals instead of just being willy-nilly and kind of being impulsive when you get hungry, you tend to think a little bit more, and you don't tend to waste food, and you also don't tend to add ingredients that you don't necessarily need. And here's one too. I've got some notes down here, I'm not trying to be sly, I just looked down. Also too, if you're doing a recipe, if you get a recipe online, or if you buy a book or whatever, price your recipes out. Go, just in your head, you should know what things cost at your store, and just go down the list. Okay, I need this much of this. This is going to cost this. This is going to cost this. This is going to cost this. And then by the end of the meal, you add it up, and you're like, is that acceptable to you? In other words, are you willing to pay that? Also, another thing with recipes that I've mentioned a number of times is some of the things don't really add to the recipe. As I'm learning more and more about creating stuff, I used to just throw the kitchen sink in there, and I see in comments sometime like a lot of you tend to do that too. You just throw stuff in there, and you don't need to. Sometimes leave that item. You know, you've probably thought, do I actually really need this? Leave something out one time. See if it actually makes a difference. I don't use nearly as much nutritional yeast in things anymore. I don't use many coconut aminos. I used to put like a splash of coconut aminos in about all my sauces and things like that, and I'm like, don't really need it. If I left it out, the taste was just the same. Let's see, what else? Always look at, no, I was just looking down my list again, and I was just talking about how I'm always looking for little ways that I can spend less money. And I think if you really start comparing it, I mean, you know, every time I go in one of the grocery stores, especially Publix, I see people, I'm observant. I see people pushing their shopping carts, which actually I'm in the South, we call them buggies in the South, down the aisles. And I've seen people that have that 75, they'll have a full cart. 75% of their cart has beverages in there. They'll have some kind of sugar-filled juices for the juice boxes for the kids. They'll have, you know, a 12-pack of Coke. They'll have a 12-pack of Diet Coke. They'll have a 24-bottle package of water. And I'm like, good Lord, these people are spending fortunes on liquids. About the only thing I buy is I'll buy plant-based milk, you know, almond milk every so often up there. Or actually I probably buy milk probably about once a week. But I'm like, I remember that, you know, going to the store, and beverages were actually something that you spent money on. I drink water and I use almond milk in things, and pretty much that's about it. And also too, the snacks and just the extra stuff. So also too, compare sometimes like how you're eating, and really think about the things that you either, if you're eating a standard American diet or if you don't eat a plant-based diet now, think about the things you're spending money on now. If you're already eating a plant-based diet, think about all those things that you used to spend money on. Sometimes I think it's a good thing that you can't get stuff in restaurants everywhere, because restaurants are expensive. It's expensive to go out and eat. So even if there were a lot of vegan restaurants right around my area, I'd still be making my own food, to be honest. I like to go to my place in Pensacola. I generally will go over there once every 3 or 4 weeks, but that's about enough for me. So just pay attention to everything you're doing. Write it down if you need to. If you really need to cut costs, and if you're not happy with how much you're spending, just like losing weight and other things, write down everything you're eating and really do the math. Add things up. Ask yourself if you need some of the stuff that you're buying, and you might find that you can lower your bill. But anyhow, just wanted to throw some tips and tricks out there today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you here a couple more times this week. Peace.